I can't believe it's already been 3 years since I said I'm done with RPG Maker games. A lot's happened since then. I've played a lot of really great RPG Maker games and had a lot of new experiences as a person. I've grown a lot since then, and I have some new thoughts on the engine and the community and the games made with it. One of the biggest things going on when I made that video is I was feeling really burnt out after having made over 100 first impressions videos where I would play a mediocre to bad game that the community sent in to me or that I just found randomly browsing the forums or whatnot, and I kind of stick with that. A lot of those games were really crappy, and I should have better paced myself, because that was way too many terrible games to play, and that would wear anybody out. Even if, you know, you're playing Unity games, if you only play all the bad Unity games, you're gonna eventually get sick and tired of all Unity games, because you start to associate Unity games with all these terrible games, and it's a terrible rabbit hole. You just keep going down. And that's what happened to me with RPG Maker games, and that was really the driving factor behind that video. However, as I've taken a step back and played some of the better games made in the engine, I've gotten a taste of that magic that first got me really invested in the engine back when I was like 12 and I was first starting out. There's some really impressive and creative things people have made using RPG Maker, and I think it's the engine itself that facilitates this. It's right there in the tagline. It's simple enough for a child, but powerful enough for a developer, and I think that that rings true in a lot of cases. However, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Because it's simple enough for a child, you have a lot of beginner developers that don't know what they're doing, you know, making their first games in the engine, and some of those people publish those games onto Steam, or they try and reach out to reviewers, and if you're a reviewer like me, you're gonna just play whatever game you're sent because it's good content, and why not? And you don't have the whole system set up because you're just starting out and you're doing it for fun and whatnot. And then you play some really terrible games, and it starts to wear the creator down. And it also kind of gives the RPG Maker engine as a whole a bad look sometimes, because you see all this slop being published onto Steam or itch.io in visible areas, and it just wears people down after a while. However, because it's simple enough for a child, it also allows developers with really creative and unique ideas to start creating for the very first time, and to start putting their ideas in action, putting things out there and showing people and having an outlet to create with. And so that leads to some really creative and incredible new games that we otherwise wouldn't have seen too. So see, it's a double-edged sword. What happened is I just got too sucked into the bad edge of that sword, and I didn't really look on the positive side of things. And I got so deep into that negative thought rabbit hole there that it eventually culminated in that video and me saying that I was done with RPG Maker. And so that was the major reason that I made that video. I was exhausted, I needed a break. I could have just left it at that. But instead I went into this tirade on maybe the politics and ideas present in the community. And while I stand by some of those things, overall I don't think it was productive and good to include that in the video. I don't think it furthered my point or got across how I was feeling or what I needed. Basically, it was kind of unnecessary to include it all. And so I'm not gonna like walk back my statements, because I'm not a little bitch, but I am going to say sorry for derailing the focus of the video to something entirely irrelevant. I should have kept it on RPG Maker as an engine, and I probably should have shown a little more love and appreciation to the engine that I've spent so many years and so many hours of my life in and working on and talking about, etc., because this engine really does have some incredible things. Anyways, kind of like I was saying, RPG Maker as an engine isn't good or bad, it's just a vessel for developers to create with, and as a vessel, it's actually really incredibly good. Now, of course, there's parts of it that aren't good, like maybe it doesn't allow for full functionality and it's a bit restrictive in what it allows you to create. However, it needs to be that way to allow beginner developers the freedom and ability to do what they want with it. And so as long as developers operate within some of those confines of what the engine is limited to, it's a massive playground for them to experiment and explore and share their unique ideas that, like I said earlier, we would never see unless this engine existed. So I think this engine is incredible for that, and I want to show some serious props to it for that. I was too harsh on it back then, and so I'm saying it now. Better late than never, I guess. But that's the real magic of RPG Maker. It reaches out to those people who otherwise would never have made a game, and it says, here you go, now you can make a game. And that's an incredible thing that should be praised, because there's a lot of people with really amazing ideas, and they deserve a chance to get those ideas out there and have people see them, and we, the consumers, are better off for it. We get exposed to a variety of new things, and in a world where AAA gaming is starting to look the same and get kind of stale, and even indie games sometimes are just regurgitating the same ideas, this is a great thing. It's really, really important in the video game economy and ecosystem. And so huge props to RPG Maker for that. I'm sorry I was too harsh on you guys. But a slight tirade here. Because the engine is so restrictive, some developers are like, whoa, wouldn't it be cool if I made a first-person shooter on RPG Maker? Because it's not, made for that. And then they post that on the RPG Maker forums or subreddits, and people are like, whoa, dude, I didn't know the engine could do that. And then it's a circle jerk there of something that I think, frankly, is pretty dumb and pointless, because those first-person shooters made an RPG Maker, those 3D games made an RPG Maker, they're not really good. At least back when I was playing them. I don't know, it's been 3 years, maybe things have gotten better, but I still will never understand why people use RPG Maker for that, when you could just, especially since it requires so much coding knowledge to be able to do that, just go to another engine. Go to an engine that's made for that. RPG Maker can do a lot of things and can make some really incredible games, but like I said at the start, you kind of need to stay in your lane with the engine in order to use it to make the best games possible. And if you're kind of past that point, or you want to make a game that doesn't fit within RPG Maker, you should go to an engine that fits your idea and allows you to creatively express yourself to the fullest extent possible. I don't think you should restrict yourself with RPG Maker, and it just ends up making some weird games, and then the community is like, this is great, keep doing it. And I disagree with that sentiment, and that's one thing that I think is still a problem with the RPG Maker community, which is that they're beginner developers a lot of the time, or they think things are good that are not actually good because they don't have experience. And I'm not saying all the time I know what's actually good. I'm just saying you gotta, as a developer, learn how to take things with a grain of salt sometimes. Pick out the advice that you think is good and leave the stuff that you think is bad. Use your best judgment. That's how you learn. Good luck to you. So a little wrap up on this retrospective here. I was too harsh on RPG Maker back then. I probably could have been a little bit nicer. I probably could have talked about some of the good things, probably some of the magic of the engine in allowing developers with limited experience to create games and put their imagination into something that we other people can consume and see and give feedback on. And that's a great thing for growth and for creativity and for hobbies and letting people explore their passions. All of that is fantastic, and I probably should have mentioned it. So my bad. And then something that I probably should not have included, so maybe we should have just done a little swapsies there, was maybe my whole little tirade into the community and some of the bad eggs in the community. That probably should have just stayed out of the video. It wasn't needed per se. I did it because I was talking to my friend about it and was trying to stand up for him. And I still think he was mistreated, but it really didn't need to be in that video in particular, and it probably could have been handled off screen, off video. So my bad on that. This is my YouTube apology video. Should I cry and bring my dog in here? I'm sorry. But yeah, anyways, I'm young and I make mistakes sometimes, and that was, part of that was probably it, because I don't want to be done with RPG Maker games. It's an engine that I really love, and there's some games in it that are like my favorite games of all time. Omori is a fantastic game. It made me cry. I love that game. Fear and Hunger gave me opposite emotions, but still, it's an awesome game, really fun, and they just stand out. They're different. They feel, I don't know, it feels like there's so many unique things in there that I feel like I'm learning something new when I play games like that, or I'm getting a new perspective on something. And it's just a lot more fun than a lot of other games that are made. So I like RPG Maker games. I don't like the bad RPG Maker games. I don't want to play those anymore. Really, I really don't want to play those anymore. So this is going to just kind of be I am going to figure it out as we go along. And that's really what I'm doing for this whole channel. And that's what everybody's doing in life, isn't it? We're just figuring it out as we go along. I just finished my first year of college. I'm figuring out college. I'm figuring out my relationship. I'm figuring out family, jobs, working, money. you know, I'm not perfect. Yeah, so I just wanted to clear up some of my thoughts on RPG Maker, and I really wanted to put it out there that this is a great engine. There's a lot of good things that it can do, and I felt bad just kind of leaving it as it is with me being so negative. So here is a humble coming of age moment, full circle kind of deal here, where I say, oops, RPG Maker is good sometimes if you're good. What the hell does that mean? Anyways, also, I'm going to try doing more videos like this, where it's just kind of me talking, stream of conscious stuff. You know, I script all my videos normally, but for this, I just have a couple bullet points with some things I wanted to touch on. So, if this sucks, and you like it when my ideas are more coherent, I don't have to do this anymore, but I'm going to try it out. Like I was just saying, we're just figuring things out here, trying things. And I want you guys to feel more connected to me, too. Because that's one of my big goals on this channel, that I can be someone that you guys can, I want to be a good role model to the best extent I can be. I want to feel, and I also want to be a creator that you can feel connected to and talk openly with, and you feel is engaging and cares. I try to always reply to comments, or at least read the comments. I ignore some of the hateful ones, but I see them still, so just keep that in mind. Actually, you probably want me to see them if you're typing them, so that's probably good for you. Anyways, yeah, I really appreciate you guys sticking around, supporting the channel for so long. And we got many more good years to come. So I'll see you in the next video, and have an amazing day.